Being in business this many years, what would you tell a startup guy the top three, the most important things you need to know about starting up a business?
Listen, I'm not in money management, and I'm not an entrepreneur in business consulting. But I can just tell you my humble opinion: debt is the worst thing in business, and taking on debt is the worst thing in business. And what I see most young people make mistakes are they want to chap arayin before they don't have the patience to wait it out. Very important. Pruta pruta mitzarefes. You make a few dollars, reinvest it in the business. Don't run and don't go buy yourself a Cadillac, and don't buy yourself struggle with your little car, a 5-year-old car, or whatever, or minimum lease, minimum expenses. Don't buy yourself a fancy office. What I'm trying to say is always reinvest in yourself.
So low overhead and zero
Low
debt.
overhead, and use that all the time to reinvest in your business. And you'll see, if Metz Hashem, the business is successful, you're doing well in sales, and your growth rate is strong, you'll be matzliach.
But you're going to have to take out debt if you're starting a business,
Not
right?
necessarily. I started my company with no money.
But how do you get inventory?
I don't have inventory.
So it's per order.
I'm saying I'm
so
in
you
the service
brokered.
business.
So you brokered when someone wanted to buy. You ordered it,
And I was in the supply business for 17 years too.
and you didn't need cash to
I
start.
did not have real lines of credit. But again, if you were careful and very, very extremely on the low end with your expenses and careful, you can always be successful.
Right. No, because
I'm not saying give the business. I mean, businesses fail all the time. Why are so many Amazon businesses successful? They're successful is because they do keep a very low inventory. I'm sorry, not inventory, low cost ratio, and they do it out of garages, or they do it out of very, very cheap rent facility locations, or they distribute it in a certain way. They're matzliach because they keep a very close. Now you do see other vice versa. You see guys that have 300 employees, and they have that facade that they have these big offices and big warehouses, but deep down they're drowning in money and drowning in debt, and they don't sleep at night and they have no life. So it's either you have two ways: either you play the facade game, or you have the money game. Everybody has their choice.
Shakayach, well said. But a little debt to start off if you need inventory is okay, but keep it to a minimum.
So I'll answer you back. You can ask me.
Okay.
Ask me.
So if someone needs debt, let's say they don't have a rich father, they don't have any friends to start up buying.
Statistic shows
Yeah.
most wealthy, successful people in America did not come from father-in-laws or brother-in-laws. Yes, you have so-called Trump that got $2 million from his father. That's called chump change 50 years ago. But that is not the case. Most successful people are people that work very hard, ambitious, and did not come from investing money. And that's why they're successful, because they're ambitious, because they have nothing to lose. I mean, just the opposite. They have everything to lose. So that's why they're a lot more successful. That's my feeling. I don't know. I don't know what the world statistic is, but I see in my circles.
What's so bad about debt? Is it the interest that eats you
debt,
up?
okay, so in now terms...
Is it the stress?
No, because debt is something, it's like a car payment and a mortgage. Somebody has a mortgage, and let's say, most people in the United States don't have $1,000 in their savings account. They live from week to week, month to month. Then you have a little better, upper class. But again, go to any person and tell you, what is my biggest, expense? I'll say the mortgage. Or he'll say my rent. Or he'll say, the person will say, medical insurance, right? So that is what drags companies down too. Because if you have 2-3 bad months, like COVID-19 hits, you have people that are very successful, and you have people that are crumbling. And the people that are crumbling is not because they're not successful, it's because they have no reserves. And they're relying on debt to always bail them out. Or rely on debt as a cushion. That's not good. But in now society, in the last 6 months, since interest rates went down dramatically, it's very cheap to refinance your debt. Yes, you will get a lot more for your money. So, but it has to be with a cheshbon. You can't take out debt, money, and buy yourself a nice Bentley. You take the money and you reinvest it constantly in a company, and do not bring up your expenses because you have money. You have a much better chance of survival or
So
success.
people's egos kill them.
It's more about ego, yes. Today,
So they want to. How many employees you have? How many employees?
No,
It's
today-
like it's
today's
almost like
society-
how many cars you have.
Today's society it's the young generation does not have the patience to wait it out, because if his friend has a Rolex, he has to have a Rolex. So you understand? And he doesn't understand that his
Keeping
friend
up with
worked
the
already 10
Joneses.
years for that, or worked 15 years and built himself a company or did something with that. Versus the other guy doesn't have the patience to wait. And what does he do? He borrows the money or lends the money on interest. Eventually, after the 10th payment, he's tired of it. So that's the core problem in any society.
Also-
Israel is no better, by the way.
Also, people, if they have high overhead, they end up selling at lower margins because they're desperate. They just have to cover
And
the
what about
costs.
products that, for instance, that given any look, take the hotel business.
Right.
Look at Hertz Rent-A-Car. Because they had no major reserves, they're falling apart. Look at United Airlines, where they have billions of dollars in reserve, or other corporations. Yes, the government is helping them, but if they weren't making money for the past 10, 15, 20 years, they would be out of business. They would have been bankrupt. They would never. Why is El Al faltering? El Al is $190. They lost $190, $190 million. It's not the end of the world. But because they never had reserves. They never had the proper reserves.
So COVID really just shakes. It keeps up the good ones, and the bad ones fall
Bad
away.
ones. But what statistic has shown, 2008, whoever was solid, and was not debt laden, what happened? They made 10 times their investment, because cash is king when things are bad, and that's the core to anything.
So keep it lean, keep it humble,
All the time.
and a little God Mazel will help you too.
Always Hashem. But again, what I'm stressing is, doesn't mean Hashem puts you in business, right? That doesn't mean you have the right to just splurge and do whatever you have to do. If Hashem gives you success, you have to give tzedakah. That's the most important thing. Help other people, because it's not your money. Not your money. It's Hashem's money. You know, a guy in Shomer Shabbos used to say, when he used to give him tzedakah, and he says, so a guy would say, "Oh, here's my money." He says, "No, it's not your money. Now it's your money. You gave, once it's by me, the tzedakah, you did the chesed. Then it's your money. Then you get schar for that."
I see, Dov, you have a very healthy self-esteem, and you speak your mind, Dov.
It's not
Were you always
self-esteem,
like
it's called
this?
experience.
Were you always like this, Dov, or when you were younger, a little on the quieter side?
No, I was not. It has nothing to do with it. Tsuris makes you stronger, and then you realize that if you don't stand up for yourself and if you don't fight in life, everything in life is a fight. And since you have it in the Torah, you have it since Moshe Rabbeinu, Mitzrayim, and everything. The Jews always fought for everything they had. There's a reason for it. So again, everybody gets strong. And listen, you see, I come from my father was a war survivor. My grandparents, I remember them, and they would have never been successful in America with Yiddishkeit and frumkeit and anything, in business, anything, if they didn't fight for it. They struggled, but guess what? The fruits of your labor is a lot sweeter when you fight for it and you feel success, because you feel closer to Hashem.
And you see the Siyata Shmaya.
It's 100%.
So they say if you're an employee, you think that your boss is the Eberster.
Chas v'sholom.
I'm saying it's possible.
But I don't believe in that.
So Tsaras keeps you humble, aware, and
It doesn't have to be tsaris also. It can be experience. Experience. You gotta... I think that Yidden, especially, are successful because they stand up for themselves and they help each other, and the chesed in the Yiddish world is second to none in the whole world. Second to none in the whole world. Everybody envies us for our chesed that we do for each other, plus everybody else. So I can tell you. I think.
so if I
that's
could
our success.
summarize, to be successful, especially as a startup, keep it lean, keep it not flashy, overhead low, no debt, humble, and mazel.
And besides that, stay focused. That's it.
Keep your eye on the
And when
prize.
you are making money, you should know that giving maser is the most important thing, I feel, because anybody that does maser, I see in my eyes, are very successful. I'm not saying with money, more money. I'm saying in life, because there's a big schus in that, and there's a big mazel people that give maser. That means, first of all, it's a halacha. Second of all, it's
Were you also in the building supply business?
yes.
And then you stopped that.
Stop it. I failed in it.
What did you learn from that?
I learned from them what not to do
Like?
in future.
Or some big
When I
lessons?
was in the supply business, again, I was okay. There I failed not because I was making a living, but there I failed I didn't fail. The word's not failure. You never fail. No matter what they do, they don't fail. Hashem didn't want. It wasn't much. It was no atzlocha in the end, because the internet came out in those years, in the late 2000, and then the economy crashed. So everything together. So what's happening was there's no loyalty. There used to be loyalty years ago in the 80s and 90s. You knew a guy, he was loyal to you. Then the change. Today there's no loyalty. You're 3 cents cheaper, I buy from this guy. 4 cents cheaper. So the internet.
On product.
On product.
Would you say there's more loyalty in service than in product?
Service, yeah, depends if you need them. For meaning to say, if you know there's a good plumber and you know that he charges a fair price, and you know at 2 o'clock in the morning you can call him and he'll show up, the person will pay for that, not because he's loyal to you, because he needs you. There's a big difference.
So you're saying there's zero loyalty?
Very little loyalty today. There are old timers that have like their fathers taught them and their grandfathers taught them. There's a lot of successful families that they're in business for many years, and they have a certain way of doing business. But when they tell you, "Oh, I'm your friend," no. You're giving them a service, and because you're giving them a service, they're loyal to you. The second you fail, you'll see how the loyalty ends. That's it.
L'chara, it seems like being loyal is also a beneficial thing because there's a relationship. When it comes to the bumps, it'll be much smaller bumps.
I find relationships are all bogus in business, and it's all lies. Very rarely you find loyal. I'm not saying I have a lot of loyal people for many years, but again,
You seem like a very loyal person, though.
Baruch Hashem,
On my short term that I know you.
my loss ratio with employees are less than 1%, and I have the same employees from the day one. And with COVID-19, I had 25 people that left the company. 24 people left the company for a week. They were scared, and they all came back the week later because I told them, guys, I will never hurt my employees if I felt it was dangerous, and it was never dangerous because no more than 2 employees work together on a site. And guess what? I kept everything running 100% with guidelines, kept to all the laws and the guidelines, and protected all my people.
I'm sure you find there is some loyalty in some vendors or customers you deal with.
No, I deal with the same vendors since I'm in business.
Okay, so there
And
is
you know what?
loyalty.
But you know why? Because they know I'm loyal to them. Because a product that will take 2 months to get on the standard, and because of my loyalty, they would produce it in 4 days for me.
I heard over Shabbos you mentioned it's very interesting that when it came to certain client, they went bankrupt, but you managed somehow to get paid. Tell us about that idea, because I think
I'll tell you
that's a
story.
great thing for young people to realize that things are not just numbers.
So I'll tell you a story.
I overheard you say it, and it clicked in my head.
I had a client. I don't want to say where. It's not a big town, and we did 3 elevators for the guy. A Jewish guy, nice guy, happens to be one of a rare breed that I found to be very loyal to his vendors. And we finished the project, and a year later, I already finished the project, but I was still owed 20% on the project. It was a nice sum of money. And the contracting company went bankrupt. So he was the owner, but the contracting company was paying the bills from the bank. It looks like they hoarded some money from people that were really supposed to pay out. And I already told the owner half a year before that something's fishy here, and he agreed with me. They were losing checks. Yeah. Make a long story short, the owner had a bond on the building. Bond means that you were secured, but the bonding company spoke to the owner and said, "Who do you want me to pay out right away?" He says, "The people that were loyal to me and waited and finished the job and didn't let me falter in the building, and I finished the first." Guess what? First of all, besides that the owner wrote me a personal check for, I think, $30,000, and the other balance was around $80,000, I got paid the first. And I got the bonding company said, "You were very loyal to the owner, and you're the first one that gets paid."
So there's no loyalty these days, but if you do have it,
No,
pays off.
but loyalty comes a long way. If you know how to do it right, and you know how to treat people with respect, it's all about respect. I find in a lot of young people that go into business, become contractors, developers, they have zero knowledge how to deal with people, and that's why a job goes overrun 20%, because there's no coordination, there's no education, and then the other one's fakert. I find a lot of Hasidic guys very successful and very good at what they do and extremely organized. So again, you find this way, you find that way. I mean, but I find if you're kind and respectful to people, and you everybody you stay loyal, it will pay itself back all the time.
Shakar, thank you so much.
No problem.
Rabbi Dov, all the best.